Really, really glad to be back at CMC again this year. I'm going to be presenting with Zamil. So my name's Pete. I'm a researcher. I've been researching kids media for the last 20 years. Zamil is one of our strategists at KidsKnowBest. And today I'm going to be talking about generations and why we don't think generations exist perhaps the same way that they are kind of created. So we're going to talk a little bit about how all those different generations perhaps don't define us as much as we think they do. As I say, apparently we all belong to different generations. I've got a list of all the generations here. I can't remember them all, and they've all got slightly different things about them. So the greatest generation, which was at the turn of the 1900s, the silent generation, which led up to World War II, the baby boomer generation, post-World War II, Generation X, millennials, Generation Z, and then Generation Alpha. Apparently, the difference between Generation Z and Generation Alpha, and there is actually an in-between called Generation Zalpha, because they can't quite decide if Alpha and Z are that different. The difference is Generation Z grew up through the kind of proliferation of internet devices and everything getting switched on, whereas Generation Alpha have been born into it. So the world now is intelligent and digital and smart, and they're born into that. Apparently, what that means is Generation Z are pragmatic and problem-solving, and Generation Alpha are impatient and always looking for always looking for that kind of like hit that kind of social media and digital kind of media gives them. But we know that's not really true. We know that, we're pragmatic, we're impatient. We know that there's 13-year-olds who are impatient, and we know that there's 4 or 5-year-olds who are pragmatic. So what we want to talk about is how generations actually aren't all that different. And my job for years has been to run segmentations for brands to help them figure out how they engage, build products and engage with their audiences. And I've run a lot of cradle-to-grave segmentations, and the one insight I can give that's consistent across all of them is that generations do have some influence, because it may well be that the media formats are different, for example, and changes how we interact and take information and present information. But generally, there are values that are consistent across all generations. There are behaviours that are consistent across all generations. And actually, the main thing that makes us different is who we are as individuals, not what generation we come from. And I was actually thinking yesterday, I could hear in the annex, I could hear this thudding, repeating, hammering noise. And I went in, and my son quickly picked up his tennis ball and hid. And what he does is he watches football, and while he's watching football, he throws a tennis ball against the wall and then saves it. And he hid because he was like, I'm doing something naughty. And I was like, I used to do exactly the same thing when I was a kid. And that's, 40 years difference, and we're still doing the same thing. And I never told him to do that. He just picked that up because he's mad about football like I was. So those individualities are not unique to generations. They're unique to us as individuals. Today, Zamil is going to take on the voice of the child, and I'm going to take on the voice of the adult. And Zamil is going to be building that on our youth trend spotting product, which we use to speak to 400 kids, parents, grandparents every single month. So loads and loads of insights. And without further ado, I'm going to pass on to Zamil, who's going to start unpacking some of the trends.
Amazing. Thank you, Pete. So obviously we did this presentation yesterday, so I'm going to try to follow the similar thing that I did yesterday. So we're going to start here with unboxing content. So what we've done is we've got 3 sections in this presentation, each section talking about a specific thing that kids today like and how it compares back. So we started with unboxing content because it is a content category that has been around for ages now. It's evolved and changed over the recent years with the rise of TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So first I've got a clip to show you of a few kids talking about unboxing content.
Well, he does lots of unboxing, and he goes to Disneyland and Disney World, and he's from England, but he lives in America, so he does these lots of things like Americans versus English people.
I love Nicole Leno. She is amazing, and I love her days in her life because they're just really entertaining.
She does unboxing videos, and people around the world always censor it. So I think that's why she's very popular.
So those 3 videos kind of showed what kind of creators kids watch in terms of unboxing. And one thing I wanted to pick out here is with unboxing itself, we understand it, like you open something up and you reveal it, right? But there's actually so many different categories within unboxing itself. So there's loads of other ones, but these are the 3 core ones that we've found. Creation is one where you unbox the thing, you create something, and then you showcase what you've made. So a great example of this is the Magic Mixie range. where it's almost like magic, where you sort of put all these potions and things inside, and you get this like toy at the end, and that's sort of the creation side. Then we've got the traditional one, the one that we're all used to, which is like, open the box, show me what's in the box. Okay, I'm done. Next. Then there's ASMR. Just hands up to understand who knows what ASMR is. Okay, cool. That's good. I do have a definition, but the definition's a bit scary. So it's basically the tingling feeling you feel on the back of your neck when you hear like someone whispering close to a mic. Which is a bit weird, but with that type of unboxing content, it's all around like how they open the box, how they cut the tape, how they open up the bubble wrap, and all those little sounds that gives that sort of relaxed feeling as well. So those are sort of the core unboxing types of content. And what we've done is we've pulled some data as well around just general content use as well. So we looked at some of the top creators for kids 6 to 9, and of course Mr. Beast comes out on top, and more on him a little bit later, but also the top platforms, YouTube, TikTok and Instagram, and that TikTok figure sort of rises as the kids get older. So that's sort of where unboxing content is and where they are consuming it. And people like Mr. Beast have of course seen these trends and started making content around that. So Mr. Beast specifically on YouTube creates his sort of huge videos, the Squid Games and all of that stuff. But on sort of his TikTok and shorter form platforms, he's making unboxing content and things like that as well. Why unboxing? Why do kids love it? Why does anyone love it, really? Well, we've kind of put it into these three things. We've got the beginning of it, which is like it's something new. What is in the box? I don't know what it is. What's it going to be? Then it's the tease, and that you can compare that to when you get a gift for Christmas or for your birthday, where you're slowly unwrapping it and you don't really know what it is until you see it. And then, of course, that final moment of surprise and delight. And these are the sort of the 3 stages of unboxing, and has that sort of format to it. But I think, Pete, you have a bit of information as to...
So I think for a long time we always thought unboxing was a bit of a strange thing, and we were kind of thought our kids watching unboxing videos over and over and over again was a strange thing. But actually, as adults, we have really similar types of shows and really similar types of content. So here's a few adults just explaining what they think is similar to unboxing.
The first thing that jumps to mind are like the old shows, like What's Behind the Door, maybe like Price is Right. They're like a mystery, gift or something like that.
I don't know, maybe actually like videos on TikTok of people cleaning like their house, like really messy houses, and then they're like the before and after.
I really like DIY and things like that. It's not something I can do an awful lot now with being disabled, but it's nice to watch other people doing it and get ideas and think, oh, I could do that.
When you've just asked for me to come over, I was crocheting, and I do like watching other people doing that kind of thing, crafts, and seeing what they actually create at the end. Just started following someone that I've found through that Facebook newsfeed thing that she does different crafts with things she finds. That she's American, so it's like Dollar Tree, but essentially Poundland. And how can she get different items and come up with something altogether that you wouldn't expect at the end?
So when we asked them what they thought was similar, they pulled out things like Sewing Bee, Great British Bake Off, home renovation shows, Married at First Sight. So those exact same flows where you have a beginning, like teases you, then the build-up, and then the reveal at the end. And there's a really, really interesting thing with why that type of content works for all generations. The first thing is, apparently humans, even if we think we do, we don't like being surprised. One of the things we do like about surprises is we like trying to figure out what's happening and what's coming. So I don't know if anyone, when they're watching those shows, as they're going through, is guessing already who's going to get kicked off that show, and quite often we get it right because we've probably watched 1,000 episodes of Love Island or whatever so we know exactly what's going to happen. We're picking up on all of those clues, which is exactly what kids do when they're watching unboxing, and they're watching repeat unboxing videos. The format stays the same. They start to unpack it, and Malcolm Gladwell wrote about something called thin slicing, which is taking small pieces of information and using those small pieces of information to make educated guesses about the situation. And that's something that we as humans are programmed to do. We like trying to guess what's coming. I think that's a really interesting thing, because when kids are watching unboxing, they're getting those same feels as us watching home renovation show. We think we're watching something different, but we're probably watching, season 29, episode 17, the same way kids are watching, the next 3 hours of unboxing videos. We're just kind of going through that kind of same format and that same program. And a really interesting concept is someone called Daniel Kahneman, who people might know from Thinking Fast and Slow. He came up with this idea of peak-end rule. And peak-end rule has a huge impact on people's memory of experiences. And, he looks at that from a holiday perspective. So if you go on a holiday And that holiday may not be great, but if there's a peak in it that's magic, and if the ending is really, really good, your overarching memory of that holiday is a positive one. And that works in content as well, whether that be short form, where you may just have one peak of excitement. So that might be a plot twist, an emotional moment, a piece of adventure, something that's really, really exciting. Or in long form on movies, there might be multiple peaks. But what we do like is we like satisfaction at the end. And that's the one consistent thing that happens with unboxing, happens with home renovation shows. Not always a positive satisfaction, but there's always like a conclusion and ending which people feel really comfortable and happy with. I think when we're making content, that's the one thing that's really, really important to think about is those peaks, can we make them as high as possible? And that ending, can we make sure it satisfies? And that's where unboxing, we find from a parent perspective, is very similar to a home reno show or sewing bee or something like that. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Zamil, who's going to talk about Fortnite skins.
Awesome. So I'm someone who spent a lot of money on Fortnite skins, and especially for my nephew, he's constantly asking for V-Bucks or Robux. But what's interesting about this, we all know that kids are buying like digital products on Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, but we've got a few clips here of kids talking about how they kind of use those skins and what it means to them. And I want you to have a look at how, especially the girl, the first girl in this clip, how she kind of describes her Roblox character.
Tell the lady what you got for Christmas, and then
I got Robux for Christmas, so I can I got like a new outfit and then some like wings, like a little unicorn horn on my head, this swirly thing around my body, and I got like a new walk.
I would actually buy 1,000,000 V-Bucks just if the area was so cheap, it was 1,000,000 V-Bucks. I would buy that many V-Bucks just to get that skin. I would do anything. Actually, I would lose all my other skins for that skin. I love it so much.
Before I buy something, I try it out to see if it looks good or it doesn't. If it doesn't look good, I won't buy it. But if it does look good, I will buy it.
Yeah, so from those clips you saw, the first girl, like she was really describing how she wears it, why she wears it, and she really was like in love with all the things that she bought specifically for her character. And then at the end, you saw the girl talking about how she tries it on first, and if she likes it, then she gets it, and if she doesn't, then it's like, oh, I've got way more options still within that virtual world. And of course, that boy in the middle was just hilarious. He'll do anything for V-Bucks, he said. We have a bit of data on like the content categories that kind of prevail when it comes to YouTube specifically. Gaming leads the way in that sense for boys and girls, and then challenges and comedy. And it's really, really important to understand this. And there was like a great talk yesterday, and it will be coming up later today as well, around how gaming is but is a massive influence for that audience. And it's not just gaming itself, it's the culture around gaming as well. So what's so great about digital skins? Why do kids love digital skins? So we've got a couple of examples here. Like Fortnite recently dropped a new Nike skin, and then Roblox obviously has a bunch of different brands within it, like Vans. There's Nike World, Nikeverse in there as well. And the core thing around this, that the reason, especially from the clips, is that it gives kids an identity. So I'll give you kind of like an anecdote that happened to me a few months ago. So I was on set, and there was we were filming like a little commercial, right? And there was a little boy, 7 years old, and he comes up to me and he says, he doesn't even say hello, right? He doesn't even greet me. He just says, "Do you like football? Do you like Fortnite?" I was like, yeah, I play a little bit of Fortnite. And on Fortnite, how it works is there's like the old skins from like the original like beginning of the game, and then there's like the newer ones, right? And because he looked at my age and he was like, you must have played the old one, so you must have the Renegade Raider. So the Renegade Raider is like this skin that kids are raving about. And he looked at me and he said, "Do you have the Renegade Raider?" And then I was like, "No, I don't." And then he was completely disinterested in me. He was like, "Oh, you don't have that one? Then you must suck then, like, because you had all this time to get it and you never got it." So it was almost like, you know, it was like a status thing with him as well. It was kind of like, you don't have it, okay, I don't really want to talk to you anymore. You're not important, sort of thing. So it does build identity, and like there's all these skins, avatars, things that you can get within these worlds that kind of say, oh, I was there, I was at that concert, I bought that skin at that time that it was out, you don't have it, sort of thing. So it builds that identity around it as well. So I'll pass it back over to Pete to chat through the adult side.
And again, of course, as adults, we've always used objects, physical objects, and now we have virtual objects and physical objects to badge ourselves and let people know who we are. So I'll just let some adults or some parents talk about how they've badged themselves.
Like customizing your like Nintendo DS or Lite or your Nintendo DS Switch. It's probably the only thing I can compare it to.
It was more sort of clothes, trainers, sort of braids in hair that was quite popular at one point, and tiny little clips, and it tended to be quite pink and plasticky.
So on the positive, from a virtual perspective, there's no more pink and plasticky. So now it very much is that children can use those virtual assets to badge themselves and build their identity, or cuss Zamil because he's not cool enough. And I think that's a really, really important thing for us to think about. But the one common theme that we look at a lot is early adopters and mavens and innovators. And what's interesting about them is, regardless of generation, they're a segment on their own. So what tends to happen is they tend to adopt things, and once they've adopted things, they use it properly. And the reason why they use it properly is, before you created your piece of content or your product, they already had that need. So they were already searching for it. It wasn't like someone told them. They already had a purpose for what you were doing before you even created it. So when they find what you've done, it's a relief and they use it properly. And that's really, really important when developing content or developing new products, is think about who your first user is going to be. Don't necessarily think about who your kind of late and mid-majority are going to be, because that first user is probably the one that's going to help you iterate, improve, and then promote that and build that into the mainstream. A really good example is Hush Puppies, which in the 80s lost a lot of popularity, but then they were in all the thrift shops in New York, and the creative community picked up these Hush Puppies. They started wearing them to all their art shows. It started to grow the brand popular again. And actually what's interesting is when that went mainstream, that network, that community kind of dropped it and found something else. They found their badge, they'd used it, it kind of represented who they were for, it went mainstream, and they then stopped wearing the Hush Puppies, and they moved on to find something else that made them unique and gave them that kind of like common theme as a group. I think a really good example that we've seen from a content perspective over the last couple of years is anime and Korean drama or Asian drama, where it's always been a big thing, but it's been more of a niche than a mainstream. Over 3 or 4 years, Netflix have been kind of seeding content, so dystopian dramas, emotional dramas from kind of Japan, from Korea. They've got more and more popular. The animation's been kind of building up, and then of course in 2020 and beyond, we've had Squid Games, we've had Arcane, which are now blockbusters. And now, when you go on to Netflix, that now is a mainstream genre and theme. It's a badge of kind of quality. And regardless of whether or not that's a kid looking for Fortnite skins and trying to find that one that no one else has access to, like with the Nike example, you could get, if you play for 10 minutes, you got the Nike sneakers. I couldn't get them because I wouldn't last more than 30 seconds on Fortnite. And I can't buy them because they're exclusive to that. So straight away, it gave them that kind of innovation early adopter piece as well. And talking of adoptions of new trends, we're going to move on to the final one, which is Prime.
By the way, I was at Tesco Express just around the corner. They're selling Prime there for £4 a bottle, which is still ridiculous. But does anyone here, has anyone bought Prime for their kids? Yeah. And was it like £30 a bottle? Okay. So yeah, we all know the Prime craze and just the other sort of products that influencers have launched over the last few years. I've got a nice little clip for you guys of a mum talking about her daughter, kind of forcing her to get her Prime and things like that. So here's
we bought a Mr. Beast candy bar the other day and she was ecstatic. And then she also we went to the gas station for something and she saw Prime and she made me buy one too for my husband. And all the kids know whatever this is. My nephew came over and he saw the bottle right away and he's like, can I try that?
I like mini brands, they're little tiny foods and they're adorable because I compared. So mum had this big size of the same thing I had and I compared it. It was really funny. My sister got a rare one. I don't know how, but she just opened it. She got rare sour cream.
There's a new energy drink called Prime. And that's another thing that comes up is people trying to find it in different shops.
Yeah, so we all know what Prime is. It's like taking over the hydration category, and like that brand, like even I was at the petrol station the other day and I saw it behind the counter and I was like, oh, you've got a bit of Prime there. There was a couple of brands spoken in there. There was of course Feastables as well, which is Mr. Beast's chocolate brand. And I think it's important to kind of discuss like Mr. Beast here and like his influence within like the kids, like for kids. Like he is the number one influencer in the world, most subscribed. There's a few stats with Mr. Beast as well. Like his last video that he made, which was like we played hide and seek in a £1 billion yacht or something, or £100 million yacht. That was his second best performing video of all time, and it was the second best performing video on YouTube within 24 hours of all time as well. And the only video that beat that video in all of YouTube was Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith. So you can see how sort of his sort of curated content has gone so far up the trending ladder, and every single one of his videos hits like 100 million views, right? And a key stat that I think really stands out is every video he does, he gets on average around 30 billion impressions. So his face is shown like literally everywhere, all over the platform. So he's everywhere, unfortunately or fortunately. And so one thing that is important is that these influencers have sort of this community and people behind them who are willing to kind of get involved and want to kind of connect with their favorite influencer and kind of have the thing that they do. So if we look at what's so great about these products, right? Like Prime's just sugary coconut water, Feastables is just like a chocolate bar, right? The main thing is it's owned by their favorite creators. The favorite creators have made it. It's quite similar to like the Roblox stuff, like when KSI did his concert. Like it's about being there and being connected to your favorite influencer. But the other thing is that what these guys do really well is that, of course, they're regularly sold out because they are popular. But the fact that they market the fact that they're regularly sold out, it's if you go to Tesco and the shelf is empty, it's empty, right? Whereas with this, it's like we're out. We have none left. That's what they always tweet and sort of put out into social media. So that drives more hype and FOMO around these products. But this isn't something new, is it?
Yeah. So I'm going to introduce Adam Smith, the economist, in a second, and just talk about how that applies to this trend, but also trends that we've had. This is, I don't know if anyone remembers Oasis albums coming out in the 90s. So my memory of it is my brother and I on a very glamorous Haven caravan holiday in Scarborough. My brother and I wouldn't plan 5 minutes ahead in the future, but before we went on the holiday, we packed our hi-fi into the car because we knew the new Oasis album was coming out and we were going to plug it in when we got to the caravan. And then on the day, everything stopped. We went and joined the back of a queue. I'm pretty sure it was Woolworths, not HMV, that we joined the back of the queue to get that Oasis album. And of course, it didn't sell out. But what it did do is it gave that impression of having to be there in that moment, and also that kind of like a law of scarcity. And that's what we want to talk about here, because manufactured law of scarcity is really interesting because, you know, from a Prime perspective, yes, there was scarcity, but there isn't now, right? Everyone's got Prime now. I mean, everyone was in Miami, Kids Screen this year, putting it in their suitcase, bring back to the kids. But actually, when you got back, it was there. But we still have this impression that it's really, really scarce. And Adam Smith spoke about this very eloquently, and I'll speak about it less eloquently, which is the harder it is to put the effort in, the more rewarding it is to get hold of it. I think that's a really, really interesting concept, because what has happened is... So social media has basically taken that idea of law of scarcity and like put it en masse, because historically you had to put a lot of effort in to get stuff, and now there are ways of kind of like hacking that system. So we speak to kids now who are fans of Adventure Time, like great show, and you know, historically the way you watched Adventure Time was on episodes and you'd watch over and over again, and they'd be super fans of Adventure Time, and what they would do is they would know all the Easter eggs and the folklore and everything else, but the only way to know it would be to watch it over and over and over again. But what they can now do is they don't need to watch episodes, because they can go straight onto TikTok, because someone's already done that for them. They found the Easter eggs, they found the folklore. They've made that kid a fan without having to put all those hours in to watch it. But that's not unique just to kids. So porn stars here, I am addicted to TikTok. I need to delete off my phone, and I watch way too much of it. But porn stars, I've never ever watched an episode of porn stars in my life, but it's one of the most watched things that I kind of do on TikTok. Again, really, really similar to that unboxing kind of experience in that, I'll talk about Pokemon in a second, but from Porn Star's perspective, I don't watch the episodes, I watch everything there, cut straight to the good stuff, and I can talk about it and, you know, really enjoy the show. Now, Pokemon, going on to unboxing, is really interesting because getting rare cards is difficult. And actually, as we heard that girl talking about, she got the mini brand salad cream, which is super rare and super cool. And, you know, her sister got that and there was a jealousy. But you can actually do that now with your favourite influencers. So it's hard for you to buy them, but these influencers, they spend $200-300 getting a pack. They weigh it out, because if you get the kind of thick silver card, you know you've got a rare card in there. They unpack it and they actually tally up the price of it. So similar to the unboxing videos that Zamil was talking about, the whole ASMR experience of the unwrapping of the pack, of opening them up, you hear the cards sliding across their fingers, and then the big reveal, the end one, the special one. Is it worth enough to justify that $200? And kids don't necessarily need to collect that now, because they can actually go and watch other people doing it and still get that same feeling, because it's done so slowly, exactly how they would do it at home. So it kind of like shortcuts their way to kind of that discovery or that law of scarcity that we spoke about. So before we hand over, Zamil is going to summarise some of the kind of key things we spoke about.
Awesome. So at the beginning of the presentation, where do we? Yeah, we all belong to different generation, which makes us unique. Of course, it does. But it seems like there are more similarities than differences across generations. So what we've done is we've kind of built out a key takeaway slide for you to take away. So as a strategist at KidsKnowBest, when working with brands, these are some of the things that I sort of pin into the sand to kind of get going. So to start with, onboarding, consistency of format and a focus on leaving a great impression. So when we look back at the unboxing content, right, there's like a familiar format, it works, and you know you want to give them a good takeaway from the piece of content. So keeping consistent and understanding your format. And then the second one, make stuff amazing for one person first. This is something we do all the time. Building pen portraits, make it amazing for that one person that you really want to make it amazing for, and then build out from there, because that person is most likely to be your early adopter, and they're already in the market looking for what you're making for them. So giving them that bit of value. And then finally, ownership. Give fans the opportunity to own your brand by knowing more than their peers. So this is something that a lot of the great brands do, which is you make something for your audience, and then that audience kind of takes it away and kind of evangelizes your brand and becomes takes ownership of it. So you can think back to things like Pokemon, where people have created whole new pieces of content based off like the base of the show and the cards, right? So people take it away and do what they want to do. So give back to your fans by letting them take ownership of what they do. So yeah, that was the key takeaways, and thank you for listening.